as I solve, I want you to follow closely as I solve this particular test. This is Cambridge IELTS 19 Academic Test 3. Okay. My target is to try and finish it up in less than 60 minutes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a strategy. There's something that I call, or let me put it this way. There are two types of practices. If you have been following me for some time now, you will notice that I always like to emphasize this issue of practice, especially for IELTS reading. What I've noticed is that candidates run away from practicing IELTS reading. They run away
Why?
from it. They avoid practicing IELTS reading. They will do every other thing but practice IELTS reading. And that is
Is it
very,
better
very
in here now?
wrong. That is very, very wrong. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. I'm telling you, if you are not practicing IELTS reading every day, you are not helping yourself. That's just the hard truth. Because I observed it again this week with one of my students. And by the time, she went for her exam, she was complaining about IELTS reading. It's because she did not really expose herself to what? To a lot of practice. So please practice IELTS reading so that you get used to how crazy it is. I'm telling you, I like to be blunt with this IELTS reading of a thing. It's a very crazy, to me, it's the craziest. So if you have done IELTS reading once or twice or three times and you did not like the way it made you feel, you need to continue and get used to that feeling. Because on the exam day, just imagine that that feeling is going to come again on the exam day. So if you have not gotten used to it, on the exam day, there will be issues. So you need to get to a point where you are comfortable with that feeling of struggling with a question, that feeling of not being able to finish in 1 hour, or whatever the feeling is. You need to get used to it and learn how to overcome it. And the only way to overcome it is what? Is to practice. Is practice. Now, there are two major types of practices that I want to highlight this morning before I start solving questions. There are two major types of practices that I want to highlight. The first type of practice is what we call accuracy practice. Do you understand? I call it accuracy practice. That one, we are not timing ourselves. When we say, if I say I am doing accuracy practice or accuracy drill, or we can also call it accuracy. We are not timing ourselves. You can spend as much time as you want. If you want to solve 40 questions and you want to spend 2 hours on it, it's okay. You are not timing yourself. The important thing for this accuracy practice is you want to ensure that you get every question right. Number one, you want to ensure that you get every question right. Number two, you want to be sure that you are able to explain your answer for every question. So this one would actually take time. Sometimes you might need to take a break, maybe take a 5-minute break and then come back to it and continue. Do you understand? Because it's actually, the idea is you want to be sure of why this answer is the correct answer. Before you mark, you want to be sure of your accuracy. It's about accuracy. You want to figure out their tricks and traps. So we call it accuracy drill. The second type of exercise is what I call speed drill, or we can also call it exam type or exam condition practice. In other words, you are putting yourself under exam condition for this kind of practice. This one, two things are important. Speed and accuracy are important. Do you understand? They are equally important, 50-50. Do you understand? Speed and accuracy are important. So what I want to do today in this lesson is that I want to do a speed drill. You understand? That's what I want to do. Now, to do a speed drill, there's a timing I always like to use. And I want you guys to practice that timing too. Anytime you are doing speed drill, or exam condition practice, I want you to use this timing. For section 1, you spend 10 minutes. For section 2, you spend 15 minutes. For section 3, you spend what? 25, let me see. 25 plus 15, that's 35, 40. Okay, yeah, I'm right. 25 minutes. So this is the timing. And then the remaining 10 minutes, use the remaining 10 minutes to revise your work and cross-check the stubborn questions. Okay? So this is the timing for what? For the speed drill. I also call this drill, I call it the 55-minute drill. If you look at this closely, you're going to see that if you follow this drill, you complete your exercise in 55 minutes. You complete it in 50, in fact, it's even 50 minutes. 25 plus 10, that's 35. 35 plus 10, 45 plus 5, 50. In 50 minutes, you are finished. So you can call it a 50-minute drill. Okay, so I'm going to set my alarm now for 10 minutes. I'm going to set my alarm for 10 minutes and then I'm going to start. So once I start the exercise, I'll set my alarm for 10 minutes. I'll start with what's it called? With section 1, and then I'll move to section 2, and then I'll move to what? Towards section 3. I hope you guys are following me. Let me know if you are following me. I want you to drop a message. Let me see that you are following me. Just say, yes, I am ready. We are ready. Fully engaged. Following you closely back to back. All right. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, one of my kind. All right, so let me go to the website. So we are going to be using the Engnovate site. The questions the questions are on that site. Come in. Let me. Okay. So Cambridge IELTS. Let me clean up this thing. Cambridge IELTS 19 academic test 3. That is what we are doing. Cambridge IELTS 19. Cambridge IELTS 19 academic test 3. Academic test 3. Okay. So let's check it out. Where's 19? Cambridge IELTS 19. Okay. Academic test 3. This is it. So I'll click on it. All right, I'll start my timer straight away. So my first duty is to go to my questions. Archaeological research had taken place on the island of Hobi before the arrival of Sherry Shipton and his colleagues. Before is a keyword for me here. So in early 2019, Sherry Shipton, okay, became the first archaeologist. No. First. This is false. They said they are the first. This one says something had taken place. So that's not true. That's going to be false. At the Kello site, the researchers found that the first clam shell axis ever to be discovered in the region. Sorry, at the Kilo site, the researchers found the first, this is one of the things I call buzzwords, first. So first clamshell axis to ever be discovered in the region. Okay. So Kello is a keyword here. I'm looking at the passage. I can't see Kello in this paragraph 1. Paragraph, let me look at it again. Kello. There's no Kello here. What of paragraph, second paragraph? Obi, see Kello here. Just inland from the village of Kello. Okay. Is there any Kello before this point? I don't think there's any Kello here. Just inland from the village of Kello on Obi's northern coast, Shipton and his colleagues found 2 caves containing prehistoric rock shelters that were suitable for excavation. With the permission and help of the local people of Kello, they dug a small test excavation in each shelter. There they found numerous artifacts. Hold on. At the Kello sites, okay, so we have 2 sites. They talked about they dug small test excavation in each shelter. Including fragments of axes. Researchers found the first clamshell axis ever. Okay, the earliest axes at Kello were made using clamshell. Hold on. They dug this a small test excavation in each shelter. They found numerous artifacts, including fragments of axes, some dating to about 14,000 years ago. The earliest axes at Kello were made using clamshells. Axes made from clamshells roughly the same time had also previously been found elsewhere. Elsewhere in this region. Ah, first, no, they are not the first. This one is also false. They found it elsewhere. Number three, the size of a bit today is less than it was 18,000 years ago. 18,000 is a keyword here. Where is 18,000 in this passage? See 18,000 here. The oldest cultural layers from the Kilo sites provided the team with the earliest record for human occupation on Obi, dating back to around 18,000 years. At this time, the climate was, which time? 80,000 years ago, the climate was drier and colder than today, and the highlands' dense forests would likely have been much less impenetrable than they are now. The size, the size, there is no mention of size here. Hold on. Sea levels were about 120 meters lower, meaning Obi was a much larger island. Encompassing what is today the separate island of Bisa. This thing is true. This number three is true. Today is lesser than, yes. Number three is true based on what we have here. This place here. This place I'm highlighting. This number three is going to be true. Number four, a change in climate around 11,700 years had a greater impact on Obi than on the surrounding island. Roughly 1,700 years ago, as the most recent ice age ended, the climate became significantly warmer and wetter, no doubt making Obi's jungle much thicker. According to the researchers, it is no coincidence that around this time, the first axis crafted from stone rather than seashell appears, likely in response to their heavy-duty use for clearing and modification of the increasingly dense rainforest. This issue of greater impact on Obi, I can't see it. I don't think it's there. This is 11,700. 11,700. The issue of greater impacts than on the surrounding island. The climate became significantly warmer. They are talking about climate. No doubt making Obi's jungle much thicker. Much thicker. Who don't know? Making Obi's jungle much thicker. Thicker than where? Greater impact on Obi than on the surrounding island. The surrounding island. Is it thicker than the surrounding island? Ha! Number four is somehow. Number five, let me leave number four alone. I'll just note number four. If I have time at the end of the day, I will come back to this number four. Number four. Number five, researchers believe that there is a connection between warmer and wetter weather and a change in the materials used to make axes. Yes, I think this is true. There's a connection between warm, wet weather and a change. Look at it here. The climate became significantly warmer and wetter, no doubt making the jungle thicker. And that was when the axes crafted from stone began to appear. So this is true. So if I'm seeing my answer to number five if I'm picking my answer to number five based on this thing here, then my answer to number four should be based on this part. Then that's going to be not given. Let me just leave it. I'll come back to it later. Shipton's team were surprised to find evidence of Obi's Islanders' hunting practices. Okay, surprised is a keyword there. Judging by the bones which researcher unearthed, people living there mainly hunted the Rothschild course. Surprised. I'm looking for surprised. It also revealed particular types of beads. Can't say anything like surprised here. It is thought that the Kello shelters were occupied continuously until about 1,000 years ago. Excavation suggests people successfully lived in the two Kello shelters for about 10,000 years. But then, about 8,000 years ago, both were abandoned. 8,000, 1,000. until about 1,000 years ago. This is the figures are different. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction. Hold on, yeah, see 1,000 here. Whatever the reason for the departure, there is no evidence for the use of the Kello shelter after this time until about 1,000 years ago when they were, hold on, it is not that the Kello shelters were occupied continuously. No, 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 no. They left it for some time. And then 1,000 years ago, they came in. So it wasn't occupied continuously. Number 7 is still false. Number 8, excavation of rock shelters inside Dash near the village of Kello. Inside Dash. So I'll go back to the beginning. Village of Kello. Where's Kello? I saw Kello in paragraph. Okay, just inland from the village of Kello, Shipton and his colleagues found 2 caves. Excavation of rock shelters inside caves. Caves, C-A-V-E-S, caves. Asked from around 14,000 years ago. So 14,000 is a keyword here. See 14,000 here. The next one, axes made out of dash, dating around 11,700. Where's 11,700? See 11,700 here. Roughly 11,700 years. Okay, this is when they started making axes from stone, made out of stone. Number 9 is stone. Number 10, dash of an animal, evidence that ancient ant leaders ate. Evidence of what they ate. Dash of an animal. Well, dash of an animal. Judging by the bones. Bones. This is bone. This is going to be bones. Bones of an animal. Bones, plural. Judging by the bones. That's going to be the word. Bones of an animal. Then obsidian, a material that is not found naturally on Obi. Okay, obsidian. See obsidian here, which must have been brought over from another island, as there is no known source on Obi. Dash, which resembled ones found on other island. It also revealed particular types of beads. Yeah, beads is our answer here. B-E-A-D-S. Similar to those previously found on islands on southern Walachia. Highlands, other highlands, yeah. Number 12. I've almost finished and I still have, let me see. How much time do I have? I have 10 seconds more. Oh, okay. May have switched from hunting to fishing. Had dash as well as items made out of metals. Had dash. Okay. 10 minutes up. So I'm going to stop here and I will move to passage 2. I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes and I'll move to passage 2. I'll come back to this one later on. So passage 2 says the global importance of wetlands. And I have matching information questions here. Remember what I'm doing? I call it speed drill. This is how I drill myself to ensure that I don't waste time. You see that I almost finished that passage 1 in less than 15 minutes. So, matching information. Reference to the need to ensure that inhabitants of wetland regions continue to benefit from them. The need, benefits, okay? Inhabitants, those are my keywords. The proportion of wetlands which have already been lost. Proportion is a keyword here, then lost. Reference to the idea that people are beginning to appreciate the value of wetland. Appreciate value of wetland, beginning. Mention of the cultural significance, cultural significance of wetland. Then we have we have gap filling here. Petland. This should be, is it peatland or wetland? Peatland, P-E-A-T. This thing should be wetland or W-E-T. Well, when I get to the passage, which have been drained begin to release dash instead of storing it. They are using peatland repeatedly. So I guess maybe it's peatland then. Then we have some names here, matching names. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take it paragraph by paragraph and solve what I can solve. Wetlands are areas where water covers the soil or is present either at or near the surface of the soil for whole or part of the year. These are complex ecosystems rich in unique plant and animal life. But according to WWF, half of the world's wetlands have disappeared. Half. There's one about proportion. Proportion of wetlands. That's paragraph A. Half. Half is a proportion. Half, 50%. That's vocabulary, ladies and gentlemen. So, half of the whatever have disappeared, converted, or destroyed for commercial development. Drainage schemes and extraction, okay, pits. Okay, pits, this is where they got that pit land. Many of those that remain have been damaged by agricultural pesticides, okay? So can we use anything? No. So let me see. Number 18, peatland. I've not seen peatland. I only saw peats. I've not seen any of these names. So let me just go to paragraph B. Throughout history, humans have gathered around wetlands and their fertile ecosystems have played an important part in human development. Consequently, they have a considerable religious, historical, see cultural. Anything religious is culture. Religion is an integral part of culture. Please keep that in mind. Anytime you hear religion, just know that they are also talking about what? Culture, because religion is a part of culture. So this one is going to be paragraph B. Mention of the cultural significance of wetland. Look at it. It says that what? The wetland were involved in religious practices. Considerable religious, they are of considerable religious, can you see that? Value to many communities around the world. So that's it. Religious significance. That's also cultural. His vocabulary, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have seen the name of one of those guys in question number 23, Matthew McCartney. Dr. Matthew McCartney, what did he say? Wetlands directly support the livelihoods and well-being of millions of people. That's what he said. Then he also said that in many developing countries, large numbers of people are dependent on wetland agriculture for their livelihoods. So, which statement sounds like that? Communities living in wetland must be included in discussions. They didn't talk about including them in discussions. Official policies, there's nothing like official policies. People cause harm to they didn't talk about people causing harm. Initiatives to reverse. No, no, no. I've not seen anything. This stuff is not represented here. This thing here is not represented. So let me see. What of the gap filling? Peatland. I've not seen peatland yet. So let me go to paragraph C now. They also serve, what's they? THUI is referring to wetland. That's what we are talking about, wetland. That's what they talked about in paragraph B. So it's still, that's what they are referring to here. They also serve a crucial environmental purpose. Wetlands are one of the key tools in mitigating climate change. Hold on. Number 14. Oh, okay, let's go on. So wetlands are one of the key tools for mitigating climate change across the planet, says Peter Van Ejik. Hold on. There's Peter in that list. Option B, that's Peter. Okay, so climate change. Communities must be included, no. Official policies, no. People cause harm, no. Initiatives to reverse environmental, no. Let's go on. Pointing to their use as buffers that protect coastal areas from sea level rise and extreme weather events such as hurricanes and flooding. Wetland coastal forests provide food and water as well as shelter from storms. And WI, that's Wetland International, this guy's organization, Peter Van Ejik organization, and other agencies are working to restore these forests which have been lost. It can, so who is talking here? You see this mark, quotation mark or inverted comma. Somebody is talking. It's Peter Van Ejik, because that's the only name they mentioned there. It can be as simple as planting trees. What does that mean? It can be as simple as, what does that sound like? That's number 26. It doesn't need to be complex. Complex is the opposite of simple. So number 26 is going to be B, Peter Van Ejik. Peter Van Ejik. It can be as simple as. So implementing climate change project isn't so much about money. Money. So for this matching information, they need to ensure that inhabitants of wetlands continue to benefit from them. I didn't see it here. Then idea that people are beginning to appreciate the value. I'm not sure it is here. It's not here. Let's go to paragraph D. Paragraph D now. The world's wetlands are unfortunately rich sources for in-demand commodities such as palm oil and pulpwood. Peatland, wetlands with waterlogged organic soil layer. So peatland is a kind of wetland, are particularly targeted. When peatland are drained for cultivation, they become net carbon emitters instead of active carbon stores. according to Marcel Silvius. Is that name on the list? Yes, option C. So Marcel Silvius, what does it say? Official policies, no. People cause harm to wetland without having intention to do so. This place talks about causing harm because anything that's emitting carbon, is causing harm to the environment. We are seeing huge peatland forest with extremely high biodiversity value being lost for a few decades of oil palm revenue. So this one, I've not seen this part of without having intention, but I'll just pick it because of my time. I don't want to, in case I don't have enough time to come back to check it. If I come across anything that sounds like intention later, I'll come and change my mind. So paragraph D, let me check matching information. They need to involve to ensure inhabitants continue to benefit. No, that's not here. Idea that people are beginning to appreciate the value of is not there. Okay, so the gap filling now, peatlands which have been drained, to release carbon dioxide. How many words? One word. To release carbon. Where is it now? They become net carbon emitters. So this is going to be carbon. Number 18 is going to be carbon. Net carbon emitters. Emit carbon, release carbon. Once peatlands have been cleared, peatland areas have been cleared, dash are more likely to occur. What is more likely to occur? Active carbon. Active carbon stores. What is likely to occur? Forest fires. Hi, the thing says one word. So I will just write fires. F-I-R-E-S. We can't write forest fires. We are not allowed to write two words. Clearing peatland forest to make way for oil palm plantation destroys dash of the local environment. Biodiversity. This is it. We are seeing huge peatland forests with extremely high biodiversity value being lost for a few decades of oil palm. So this one is going to be biodiversity. Biodiversity. You see, it's in the same sentence with oil palm. Oil palm, biodiversity, lost, damaged. That's where is it? Sorry, destroys. So it's going to be biodiversity. Water is drained out of peatlands through the dash, which are created by logging companies. So look at it. Logging companies arrive to clear the trees. They dig ditches. Ditches, that's the answer. These are then used to drain water. This, THESE, is referring to the ditches. DITCHES, ditches. Then, okay, so I've solved all the gap filling. Is there any other thing I can answer based on this paragraph D? Let me check the matching information. Involve inhabitants, no. People are beginning to appreciate the value, no. They didn't mention any name in the, okay, they mentioned Marshall. Okay. Paragraph E. This Marshall Silvius, have I matched it to anything? Paragraph, okay, I've matched it to number 25. Okay. Paragraph E now. Hold on, I can see something here. We are seeing huge peatland. Okay, let me check again. Official policies. Communities must be included. No. Paragraph E now. Let's go to paragraph E. Let's go to paragraph E. I hope you guys are following me. Somebody says question 21 is still empty. Don't worry, I will get there. Anything that is empty, I will solve. And nothing will be left behind. Paragraph E, the damage starts when logging companies arrive to clear trees. They dig ditches. These are then used to drain water out of the peatland. Once water is drained away, bacteria and fungi break down the carbon. Okay. Meanwhile, the remainder of the soil matter in the pit starts to move downwards, a process known as subsidence. There's a name here, Silvius. In the tropics, pit subsides at about 4 centimeters per year. So within half a century, very large landscapes of Sumatra and Borneo will become flooded as the pit drops below water level. It is a huge catastrophe that's in preparation. Some provinces will lose 40% of their land mass. Okay. Um, with number 14, reference, there's nothing like that here. People are beginning to appreciate the value. No, I've not seen it yet. Next paragraph. And while these industries affect wetland in ways that can easily be documented, Dr. Dave Tickner believes that more subtle impact can be even more devastating. Sediment runoff and fertilizer can be pretty invisible. Over extraction of water is equally invisible. You do get shock stories about river running red. Okay. Tickner does not blame anyone for deliberate damage. However, I have worked on wetland issues for 20 years and I've never met anybody who wanted to damage wetland. Who wanted to damage wetland? What is that one about intentional something, something, something? Intentional, people not doing something intentionally. See this one, number 25. People cause harm to wetland without having intention to do so. That's Tickner. Tickner, who is Tickner? D. I'm going to change this one to D. Number 25 is going to be D. I'm going to be D. D is better than the other one I picked. It isn't something that people really set out to do. Can you see it? They don't have the intention. So D is better for number 25. Next one. Silvius also acknowledges the importance of income generation. It's not that we just want to restore biodiversity, but we recognize that there is a need to provide income for local people. Income for local people. The idea is that people in a developing country will only protect wetland if they value and profit from them. For sustainability, it's essential that local people are involved. This is number 23. Communities living in wetland must be included in the discussion. Who is talking here? McCartney. That's A. Number 23 is going to be A. McCartney. Okay. Then what else? I'm left with 24 here. The fortunes of wetland could be improved. Different governments have different. So this is official policies. Government, that's official policies. Who is talking here? Silvius. C. This one is going to be C. Silvius. So let me check my. So 21, 16, and 14. I've not solved 21. Water is drained out of peatland through the. Hold on. No. I wrote something through the ditches. I wrote something. I wrote that ditches in another place. Okay. True. Water is drained when the logging people come. So look at it here. These are then used to drain water out of the peatland. So this number 21 should be ditches. Time up. My alarm is ringing. And then this number 22 now has to be something else. Draining peatland leads to dash. Draining peatland leads to something. Okay, I'll come back to it. Let me solve let me solve this gap filling. Gap filling is very easy to figure out. So once subsidence, this one is going to be leads to a process known as subsidence. This number 22 is going to be subsidence. A serious problem which can eventually result in coastal flooding. Coastal flooding. All right, let me go to part 3 now. I'll set my alarm for 25 minutes. This is the longest one. 25 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. 25 minutes. So we have our passage here. Is the era of artificial speech translation upon us? Okay. And then we have some multiple choice questions at the beginning. Okay. What does the reader learn about the conversation in the first paragraph? Once the stuff of science fiction, technology that enabled people to talk using different languages is now here. But how effective is it? Noise, Alex Webel tells me. So let me take that again. Let me just take that again from the beginning. Noise, Alex Webel tells me, is one of the noise. Oh, you see the way I'm reading it. See the way I was reading it. Noise, comma, Alex Weber tells me, is one of the, can you see that? So we can remove this thing here so that we can understand better. Noise is one of the major challenges that artificial speech translation has to meet. A device may be able to recognize speech in a laboratory or a meeting room, but will struggle to cope with the kind of background noise I can hear in my office surrounding Professor Weibel as he speaks to me from Kyoto Station in Japan. I am struggling to follow him in English on a scratchy line that reminds me we are nearly 10,000 kilometers apart and that distance is still an obstacle to communication, even if you are speaking the same language as we are. We haven't reached the future yet. If we had, Weibel would have been able to speak more comfortably in his native German, and I would have been able to hear his words in English. So, what does the reader learn about the conversation in the first paragraph? The speakers are communicating in different languages. Okay, as he speaks to me, I'm struggling to follow him in English. Huh? So, I think that's true. Hold on, let me check the others. Neither of the speakers is familiar with their environment. No, it's not being. The topic of the conversation is difficult for both speakers. No, 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 it's not difficult. There's nothing difficult. They didn't talk about topic being difficult here. Aspects of the conversation are challenging. Aspects? No. Look at it. Weibel would have been able to speak more comfortably in his native German, and I would have been able to hear his words in English. I am struggling to follow him in English. So he says that as he speaks to me from Kyoto. This number 27, I'm not sure. Number 28, what assists the electronic translators during lectures at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology? What assists the electronic? So at Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, where is Professor of Computer Science, Weibel and his colleagues already give lectures in German that their students can follow in English via an electronic translator. Hmm. Hold on. No. So he would have been able to speak more comfortably in his native German. This number one. This number 27. Okay. Let me just leave it. I'm not sure of this number 27. So what assists them? Electronic translator. The system generates text that students can read on their laptops or phone. So the process is somewhat similar to subtitling. It helps the lecturer speak clearly. They don't have to compete with background chatter and say much of the same thing each year. So this is what? The repeated content of the lectures, the students' reading skills, the language used, the lecturer's technical ability. No, it's not technical ability. The repeated content. What assists the electronic translator during lectures? I think I'll go for A, the repeated content. This place says they say much the same thing each year. What assists the electronic translators? Via an electronic translator that the system generates texts. I think A is going to be appropriate here. Number 29, when referring to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the writer suggests that Hitchhiker's Ride to the Galaxy, that's what we have here. The idea of artificial speech translation has been around for a long time. Douglas Adams' science fiction novel, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, published in 1979, featured a life form called Babelfish, which, when placed in the ear, enabled the listener to understand any language in the universe. It came to represent one of those devices that technology enthusiasts dream of long before they become practically realizable, like TV flats enough to hang on the wall. Objects that we once could only dream of having, but that are now commonplace. Now, devices that look like prototype Babel fish are started to appear, riding a wave of advances in artificial translation and voice recognition. When referring to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the writer suggests that the Babel fish was considered undesirable. No, no, no. There's nothing like undesirable there. This book was not seriously intended to predict the future. Ah, this book, they didn't say anything about predicting the future. Artificial speech translation was not a surprising development. Maybe. Artificial speech translation was not, it has been around for a long time. So that means it wasn't surprising. I'll go for C. It's been around for a long time. Number 30. What does the writer say about sharing earpieces? So let's look at the next paragraph. At this stage, okay, is there anything about sharing earpieces here? I know it's not here. Look at sharing earphone here. We find that there is a barrier with sharing one of the earphones with a stranger. Says Ocha. That can't have been totally unexpected. The problem would be solved if earpiece translators become sufficiently prevalent that strangers will be likely to already have their own in their ears. Whether that happens or how quickly will probably depend not so much on the earpiece themselves, but on the prevalence of voice control devices and artificial translation in general. What does writer say about sharing earpieces? It's something people will get used to doing. No, the reluctance to do it is understandable. Understandable. They can't have been totally unexpected. Understandable. The equipment will be unnecessary in the future. Which equipment? Earpiece? No. You say what this text is saying is that it will even become more popular in the future. Everybody will be having their own earpiece. It is something that few people need to worry about. I will go for B. I will go for B. Now, matching sentence endings. Speech translation methods are developing fast in Japan. Japan. Is there Japan? Asian nations? There's no Japan here. There's no Japan here. There's no Japan here. I have to go back to the beginning. Japan. See Kyoto, Japan. Okay. A device may be able to recognize speech in a laboratory or a meeting room, but will struggle to cope with the kind of background noise I can hear in my office surrounding Professor Weibel as he speaks to me from Kyoto Station in Japan. Speech translation methods are developing fast in Japan, but there are concerns about this. Our systems don't need to, but they are far from perfect. Yeah, they are far from perfect. This paragraph 1 talks about the fact that they are not perfect yet. It says we have not yet reached the future. It says the distance is still an obstacle. They are obstacles. So this thing, they are far from perfect is a good ending for number 31. Let me pick C for number 31. Number 32, TV interviews that use translation voiceover methods are successful. TV interviews. There's nothing like TV interviews here. The next paragraph, is there anything like TV interviews there? It's not there. Next paragraph, at this stage, domestic applications, TV is not here. We find that the barrier of sharing earphone, TV is not here. Okay, see TV here. So let's take it from the beginning. There is still a long way to go though. A translation system needs to be simultaneous, like the translator's voice speaking over the foreign politician being interviewed on TV, rather than in sections that oblige speakers to pause after every few remarks and wait for the translation to be delivered. It needs to work offline. Okay, look at the question again. TV interviews that use translation voiceover methods are successful. Why are they successful? Hi, as successful as systems do not need to conform to standard practices. No. Our answer is going to be hold on. No. See this question here. Speech translation methods are developing fast in Japan. Look at Japan here again. Noting that voice translation has really taken off in countries such as Japan with a range of systems. There's still a long way to go, though. C, they are far from perfect. Yeah, C is better. C is best for it. TV interviews that use translation voiceover methods are successful. A translation system needs to be simultaneous. They are successful because they are simultaneous. E is the closest thing to simultaneous. They are simultaneous. Number 32 is going to be simultaneous. Number 32 is going to be he. 33. Future translation systems should address people appropriately. Okay. Address people appropriately. Okay, look at it. They also need to be socially aware by addressing people the right way. They also need to be socially aware by addressing people appropriately. Future translation systems should address people appropriately. As systems do not know and have awareness of good manners. Awareness of good manners. It says polite to respect. That's F. I'll pick F for this number 33. I'll pick F for number 33. 34. Users may be able to maintain their local customs. Okay, local customs. Maintain their local customs. Etiquette-sensitive artificial translators could relieve people of the need to know these different cultural norms. At the same time, it might help to preserve local customs, slowing the spread of habits associated with international English. Okay, users may be able to maintain their local customs, and what else? A, no. Our systems do not need to conform to standard practices. Local customs. I think I'll go for B for this number 34. I'll pick B for number 34. Yes, no, not given. This is a serious one. Language translation systems will be seen as very useful throughout the academic and professional worlds. Very useful. Throughout the academic and professional world. See, professors refers to academic. Professionals refer to professional world. So, professors and other professionals will not outsource language awareness to software, though. If technology matures into seamless, ubiquitous artificial speech translation, it will actually add value to higher language. It will actually add value to language skills. Whether it will help people conduct their language will be seen as very useful. No. This thing says they will not outsource their language, so they won't find it. It won't be useful to them. Number 35, I'll go for no. Based on this sentence here, it sounds like the answer to number 35 should be no. 36. The overall value of automated translation to family life is yet to be shown. Family life. Look at family life here. Whether it will help people conduct their family lives or relationships is open to question. Is yet to be shown. Yes, it's still open to question. It's still open to debate and discussion. Automated translation could make life more difficult for immigrant families. Where's immigrant? Immigrant families. Where are you? I can see family here. Migration. Okay. It could overcome the language barriers that often arise between generations after migration. Automated will make life more difficult. No, 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 no. It doesn't make life more difficult. It makes it easier. Say it will eliminate the language, it will overcome the language barrier. That's not making life difficult. It makes it easier. Visual aspects of language translation are being considered by scientists. Okay. Visual, next paragraph. Even if the voice morphing technology, oh, visual aspects of language are being considered. Whatever uses it is put to, though, it will never be as good as the real thing. Even if voice morphing technology simulates speaker's voice, their lips, the contrast will underline the value. Sharing a language can promote, I can't say anything here, whether it is being considered or not. I can't see the issue of whether it is being considered or not. 39. International scientists have found English easier to translate into other languages than Latin. So comparing English and Latin, sharing a language can promote a sense of belonging and community, as with the international scientists who use English as lingua franca, where their predecessors used Latin. No, they didn't tell us whether English would be easier. Um, I don't think they mentioned why it would be easier. So I'll go for not giving here. Number 39, I'll go for not giving. Number 40, as far as language is concerned, there is a difference between people's social and practical needs. Okay? Though the practical need for a common language will diminish, the social value of sharing, though the practical need for a common language will diminish, the social value of sharing one will persist. I think this one is going to be yes. There is a difference between people's social and practical needs. I'll go for yes for this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me see the ones I've not solved. Number 40, okay? Yes now. So, I've solved everything here. Let's go back to part 2. I'm looking at my timer now. I have 5 minutes to go. Wow. So, you see, I have more time to quickly look at number 14 and 15. I'm sorry, 14 and 16. What's 16? A reference to the need to ensure that inhabitants continue to benefit. I saw that in paragraph D. Is it D or E? That they continue to benefit. Yeah, this place here. That they continue to benefit. Paragraph G. Paragraph G. Continue to benefit. People are beginning to appreciate the value of wetland. This one. Awareness of the importance of wetland is growing. That's going to be H. Number 16. H. So I've solved everything here. I've solved everything here. I'm left with part 1, 12 and 13. 12 and 13. Hard dash as well as items made out of metals. Hard dash. Where is that 8,000? See 8,000 here. So add something. Hard pottery. People who owned pottery, Pottery, probably took part in the production and sale of what? Final phase, people involved in the historic trade in the sale of what? Spices. Historic trade in spices. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've finished all these questions in how many minutes? I have 3 minutes, 20 seconds left. I've solved everything. Everything. Are you guys with me? Let me see your message if you are still with me. I've solved 1 to 40. in about 57 minutes. 57 minutes. So let's submit and see what my score will be. Let's see what my score will be. Submit. See submit here. Submit, submit, submit. Yes, we want to submit. Go ahead and submit. 39. Phew. Which one is wrong? Number 27. Wow. Ah, 27. Can you see that the timer is telling me that I spent 48 minutes? 48. I guess my timing, I didn't do my calculation correctly. I spent 48 minutes on this and I got band 9. Isn't that interesting? Number 27. Where is number 27? Ah, okay, the multiple choice. Aha, the answer is D. I was saying, I think I said something about this number 27, that this number 27 is somehow. Number 27 is somehow. He says the answer is the aspect of the conversation are challenging for both speakers. Okay, so let's look at the passage. That's one thing about this website. It tells you where to look at. This thing is what I call tracking when it comes to accuracy drill. Tracking means you'll be able to point at a particular sentence where you picked your answer from. I am struggling to follow him in English on a scratchy line that reminds me that we are nearly 10,000 kilometers apart. And that distance is still an obstacle, and that distance is still an obstacle to communication, even if you are speaking the same language. Oh, as we are. They're actually speaking the same language. Oh, can you see option A? Assuming I saw this tiny these three words, I don't it didn't ring in my head because I know I read this sentence. I read this sentence, but this part did not ring in my head. I wouldn't have picked option A. I would have studied this question 27 again because this one definitely tells me that what option A is wrong. Option A is wrong. So it's telling me that option D is the answer. Aspects of the conversation are challenging. So what aspects are challenging? It says that the thing is scratchy, maybe scratchy line. Maybe the thing gets scratched and then background noise also affects what he's hearing. So those are the things that I think would fit in as aspect of the conversation. Let's look at what the website has to say. It says that the answer means that both people are having difficulties. It's not just about speaking a different language. They are also having trouble understanding each other because of the distance. The correct answer is D because the passage shows that the speaker finds it hard to understand the other person, even though they are speaking English. The distance makes it challenging. Yeah, the distance. So the distance is a major issue, gives scratchy stuff. And then I think this issue of background noise also, because then he's hearing some noise in that man's office. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope with these few points of with these few points of mine, I have been able to show you that it's possible to what? To solve what? To solve all the questions in less than 1 hour and still get a good score. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up on that note. I'll give you more exercises to practice. Okay, you can try this thing I just did now. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 25 minutes. Okay, see how it works for you. But of course, remember what I said that word. Some of your practices should be accuracy practices. Okay, don't do every practice as a speed practice. Hope you get my point. So thank you very much, everybody. Let me take 1 or 2 questions. Does anybody have any question? Let's just take 1 or 2 questions before we round up. Does anybody have any question based on what I have just treated, or maybe on any other aspect of IELTS reading? Somebody says in the passage, CO2 was given. In my answer, I wrote CO2. No, CO2 is not the answer. That place where they wrote carbon. Is that what you are referring to? The answer is not CO2. You can't write CO2. CO2 is not a word. Where is CO2 now? I know, I think I remember the place you are referring to. Where's CO2? Okay, that's wetland. It's not, you can't write CO2, it's carbon that you write. Look at it here. Number 18. I guess this is what you are referring to. This is what you are referring to here. So you can't write CO2, please. Oh, it's carbon. It's not CO2. Look at it here. When wetlands are drained, where's number 18? Look at the passage. Look at the question. Peatland which have been drained begin to release. Huh? Can you see that? Begin. What is the meaning of begin? That means that is starting. Now look at it. When peatland are drained, begin, they become, that means the thing started. It became, that's when it started. They become net carbon emitters or net carbon releasers. It did not say net carbon dioxide releasers. So this thing here is just what we have here in this number 18. You understand now? If you are picking your answer from this place, you are picking your answer from you are picking your answer from far away, which violates, there's a principle I like to teach when it comes to gap filling. I call it the principle of proximity. Any word that you pick for your answer must be close to other words in that sentence. So if you are picking CO2 as your answer, CO2 is far away from drained. See drained here, it's far away from drained. See the distance. Carbon is closer than, it's closer to drained. Do you understand now? So by the law of proximity, carbon is more appropriate. Secondly, CO2 is not even a word. This thing that they wrote here is not a word. It's a combination of word and number. Do you understand? Assuming they wrote, what's it called now? Carbon dioxide, that would have even been a serious problem. Assuming they wrote something like this. Assuming they wrote this thing in this text, this would have been a serious issue. But I'm so happy that they did not write it. You understand? The fact that they wrote 2 here, it tells you that this is not a, this is a word plus number. It's not a word. It's not just a, what's it called? It's not a word. I hope you understand now. I hope you understand my explanation. Okay. Any other question? Somebody says that on the exam day, can you leave part and come back later? I just did that now. You saw what I mean? I did that for part 1. You'll be able to do it on the exam day. You understand? Let me tell you something. Practice doing this thing now. You understand? Get used to the idea of skipping questions and coming back to it later. Get used to it so that you will learn out not to waste time. So a student asked me maybe last week that how many minutes should I spend on a question? It's very straightforward. Once you see that you have spent more than 1 minute on a question, just leave it and come back to it later. You understand? If you see that if you are doing passage 1 and passage 2 and you realize that a particular question is taking too much of your time, you have spent more than 1 minute, just be calculating in your head, because you can't be looking at your clock all the time to check time. No, just in your head, just reason that I spent too much time on this thing. Leave it, come back to it later. You can do that on the exam day too. You understand? You can skip and come back to it later. You can skip and come back to it later. Hope you get my point. Somebody says, what are we looking for when you are searching for keywords? You are searching for those keywords now. The keywords are the things you are looking for. Your answer is the answer to your question is in what you wrote. You said, what are we looking for when searching for keywords? The answer is keywords. You are looking for the keywords. That's what you are looking for. So when you find the keyword in a part of the passage, you focus on that part of the passage. That's what you do. Okay? To illustrate, let's use this peatland thing again. Look at this peatland thing. Look at this number 18 now. Peatland which have been drained. Drained is a keyword for me here. So I come to the passage and I'm looking at the passage here. I saw peatland here. I didn't see peatland in paragraph A. I didn't see peatland in paragraph B. I didn't see peatland in paragraph C. I now saw peatland in paragraph D. Peatland. So what do? I will now focus. I've seen the keyword. Next thing I will now do is that word. I will now read slowly to be able to pick the word for this gap. I'll read slowly so that I can digest the information, understand the information, and pick my answer. Peatland, wetlands with waterlogged organic soil, are particularly targeted. When peatlands are drained, look at it, peatlands which have been drained, that's what I just read now. Peatland are drained, peatland which have been drained. Look at the passage. They become net carbon emitters. peatland which have been drained begin, become, begin, become, begin. Those are paraphrases. Begin to release carbon. Release is a paraphrase for emitters. So that's it. So you look for those keywords or for the paraphrases of those keywords. So even if I did not see drained in the passage, okay, of course I saw drained. You see drained here. But there's another word here, release. They did not use the word release here. They used emitters. Emit means you are emitting something, you are releasing something. That's paraphrasing. So what are we looking for when we are scanning for the keywords? You are looking for those keywords and for the paraphrases of those keywords. That's what you are looking for. And when you find the keywords in a part of the passage, you focus on that part, you study it closely, understand the information, and use that information to answer the question. I hope you get my point. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap it up on that note. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm going to drop a link to another exercise for you to do. That will be your assignment for today. Thank you very much once again. Enjoy the rest of your day.